welcome back to the channel. If you're a machine learning engineer, a DevOps engineer, or someone studying for their AWS certification, welcome, you're in the right place. My name is Mo and this is my project 4 out of my 100 CloudGuard projects. In this project, we are building an end-to-end MLOps with SageMaker Model Registry and CI/CD pipeline. We'll be using a combination of many AWS services like CodeCommit, CodePipeline, CodeBuild, SageMaker, Lambda, Event Bridge, all combining together to build an MLOps pipeline. We'll be using the CodeCommit for our source control. We'll be using CodePipeline to orchestrate the workflow, use CodeBuild to handle the training and deployment of our jobs, and we'll be using SageMaker Registry to version our models. So we're going to be using a manual approval process where we have a person to actually go in there and click approve after checking the pipeline. We're also going to incorporate an automated approval using Lambda to automate the whole process, and this is the power of the MLOps process, which is the automation. But the question is, why do we need a pipeline like this? What is the essence of building this project? Now the essence is, in many organizations, many ML engineers host the codes on their devices, and there is no automated method to deploy all these changes or all these commits. So by incorporating the CI/CD pipeline into this, we build it in such a way that any commits made by the DevOps engineers or by the ML engineers into the source repository, which is going to be our code commit, this automatically instigates a pipeline that automatically trains our job and then deploys. We're going to have a manual approval in place, and also later on try the auto approval with Lambda, where it's going to approve before it deploys and then push to our endpoint. Now from a governance, risk and compliance point of view, this is very huge, because you have, first of all, you have manual approval, someone to be in there to check and make sure everything is good. You can also automate this, that way the engineers don't really have all the code on their laptops or their devices. Everything is in a source, in a repository where it's then committed. Any changes is committed to the master, and then it deploys the whole pipeline for us. So hang tight as we go through all this together. But before we go through everything, let's walk through the architecture so I can explain every single thing for you. Hang tight as we walk through the architecture right now. So this is the architecture we're going to be building in this project. So I just want to add that this architecture actually solves many problems, because in many organizations, the process of deploying machine learning model is so manual and slow and prone to errors. But with this automation here, it helps us to take care of so many things. It addresses the challenges by creating a robust MLOps foundation here. That enables both the data scientists and ML engineers to accelerate time to market, improve the quality of their deployment, enhance governance, because you can track there's lineage in every single event going on here, and then reduce the operational overhead too, because you don't have to go through all the unnecessary time wasting with ML engineers all on their own devices making commit. But this here automates everything for us. So we're going to start with the first one here, which is going to be our code commit. This is going to be our source, where our source code is going to live. So a developer pushes code or code changes like the train.py we're going to be using on the build spec.yaml also to the master branch of the code commit repository, and this automatically triggers a pipeline. The code commit automatically triggers the AWS CodePipeline here, and in this code pipeline we have our build stage. The build stage is going to be where we have our build project. The build environment installs the necessary Python libraries that we need. It executes the train.py that we have to train our model. The script also registers the train model to the SageMaker Model Registry by creating a model package with versions first. What's going to happen? So when the training is going on here, it's going to register it in our model registry. Then we're going to have our approval stage right here. So we have two options for approval. We can do a manual approval, or we can do an auto approval. We're going to do both in this project. Now the manual approval, the pipeline pauses right here and waiting for approval. Now an operator, which is going to be an ML engineer or a team lead, reviews the model's performance in the SageMaker console, and then comes back to the code pipeline and then manually approves this. When he approves it, it now moves to the deploy stage. Now after deploying, it now deploys to the production environment. Now the other option is going to be to use event bridge and lambda function. Now we're going to use an event bridge rule triggered by a new model package. So when this is done, when the build is done, it's going to trigger the event rule, and then event rule invokes the lambda function. The lambda function evaluates the model's metrics against the predefined threshold we already established, like the accuracy. For example, if the accuracy is greater than 85%, then it will automatically update the model package, and then the status is going to be auto approved. And when it auto approves, it just goes straight to deploy and then straight to production. So if the model is approved from here from lambda function based on the threshold that we defined already, then the pipeline proceeds to the deploy stage. So this is the whole pipeline here. This is the whole architecture we're going to be building. So right now, let's jump into the AWS console and then go ahead and build everything from scratch. So here in AWS console, the first thing you want to do is come to IAM, go to roles. So we're going to be creating our roles first. So the first role we're going to create is going to be for the code pipeline itself. So if you come to here, come to roles, create role, and you will notice that when you come here for use cases, so it's going to be AWS services, use cases. If you search for code pipeline here, you will not find any code pipeline here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use EC2 instead, and then change the trust policy. So here EC2, just go ahead and go next. So here we're going to be using inline policies. So here don't worry about the permissions. Just go ahead and click next, and then here for the code, for the role name, we're going to name this code pipeline MLE004 role, and then we're going to leave the trust policy as is. We're going to come back and change it, and then here we're just click on create role. Now that we've created a role, let's go back and change some stuff in there. For the trust policy, since we picked EC2, it's going to be on EC2 here. So we're going to go ahead and change the trust policy. So click edit trust, and then we have the trust policy right here. We're going to change it to the code pipeline and then update policy. Now let's go back to permissions here. We're going to add permissions, and here we create inline policy, and then go to JSON. We're going to change this to our own inline policy. So I'm just going to copy the policy here and then change this. So here the policy is going to allow get object from S3, CodeCommit, CodeBuild, and then some other rules here, so some other permissions here. So let's go ahead and click next, and we're going to call this CodePipeline inline, and then create policy. And there you go, we have the CodePipeline policy, the role created. Let's go back to roles again. The next thing we're going to do is to create another role for CodeBuild. Now this role is assumed by the CodeBuild project in the CodeBuild stage. So go ahead and click on create role. So just basically the same thing we did earlier, but this time we're just going to pick CodeBuild and then next. Don't worry about the permissions. So we're trying to be as strict as possible. We don't want to just give a blanket rule, otherwise we would have used full access. We're trying to work as though we're working in production with least privilege. So here, don't worry about searching for the permission, click next. We're going to name this one and then create role. Now let's go back to the code build. Same changes. We're going to change our trust policy. Our trust policy is actually good here. And then permissions, we're going to create inline policy. Go to JSON and copy our inline policy. Come over here, same thing. Policy name, create. So we're going to repeat the same thing again for the code deploy. So create a new policy. Go back to this. Let's check the trust policy. Make sure everything is good. It's supposed to be code. It's allowing. So let's change this. It's going to be allowing code build. So let's copy our trust policy here. There we go. Update. So for the permissions, we're going to use inline policy too, just to restrict more access. I'm going to copy my inline policy here. Next. And this is going to be, okay, go back to roles. So we're going to be creating our SageMaker role here. And this SageMaker role is going to be assumed by SageMaker itself, and it needs to be able to access S3. So create role. Here we're going to look for SageMaker, and then next it's going to have its full access already. The trust policy is fine. Then create role. We're going to name this SageMaker and then create role. We're going to go back to the SageMaker and we're just going to attach the S3 full access here. Add permissions. That's it for this one. Then the last role we're going to create is going to be for the Lambda function. So create, and this is going to be for Lambda. Next, and just go ahead. We're going to use inline policy. So next, we're going to name this Lambda auto approve. And the trust policy, let me see here, assume role here. This is fine for the trust policy. Create role. And we're going to come back to the Lambda auto approve role. And then we're going to add an inline policy. And here it's going to allow Lambda to have access to SageMaker and then have access to our pipeline and then create logs for us. And then this is Lambda and then create policy. And that's all for the policies. The next thing we're going to do is to go to CodeCommit and then create our repository. So here in CodeCommit, we're going to create a repository, and the name of our repository is going to be, and then create repository. Go to repositories. This is our repository. So ideally we can clone this repository to our local machine and then work on our local machine and push the code up here to code repository. But for this purpose, we're not doing all that because it requires a lot of setup, and I don't want to prolong this video. But I'm just going to use Cloud Shell here. So go ahead and click Cloud Shell. This is going to open a console for us in the AWS environment, and this is going to have access to our environment directly. All we have to do is set up an IAM user and then set up a credentials from using the IAM user to access our repository. So in our Cloud Shell environment, the first thing we want to do is to install Git. So right here, we're going to install Git. So here we're installing Git, and there it is, it's done. And now we're going to clone our repository. So here, we're going to clone the repository that we just created. So go ahead. Now it's asking us for the username that we're going to use to clone this repository. So now let's go back to our IAM console, go to users, go ahead and create a user. I've created a user already. Click on the user, go to security credentials right here. Make sure the user has enough access. I give my user admin access. Go to security credentials, and when you scroll all the way down, come to CodeCommit credentials right here. Go ahead and generate a credential. Download this and make sure you have it handy because you're going to be using this to log in. So I've already done that. Go ahead and generate and then download. So I'm going to use mine. Approve this. Git repo. Enter your username here and then the password you downloaded. Copy the password and then paste here. It's not going to give you anything, but the password is pasted. Go ahead and click enter. So we know the repository is empty, so it's telling us we cloned an empty repository, which is fine. We're going to go ahead and add some stuff into the repository. So now let's get into our repository. Now let's check the Git status. Okay, we're on branch, no commits yet. So now let's go ahead and add our files we created. So after cloning our repository, the first thing we have to do is cd into our repository, and right now we're in the repository. So in our repository we're going to create our files. The first file we're going to create is going to be create model.py file, which is going to help us create our SageMaker model. So let's go ahead and paste this here and then enter, then clear. The next one we're going to create is going to be our train.py. This file here is going to help us train our model. So go ahead, click this, paste it, and then enter. Now the next one again is going to be our build spec train.yaml. This is going to help us with our build project. So go ahead and copy this, paste it, and then enter. And then next is going to be build spec deploy, which is going to help us deploy our pipeline. Go ahead and paste this and then enter. That's clear. Let's check, make sure they are there. Okay, they are all there. Now let's check git status. Okay, we have them there. We haven't committed yet. Now let's go ahead and add them to our repository. Let me see here. Let's go ahead and add them. And here we're gonna commit. We're adding the script, the training script, and the build.yaml codes. Go ahead and commit. There you go. And now we're gonna push it to the origin main. So I use main instead of master, so I just change it to master. Now we're gonna require a username and password. So let me go ahead and grab my username, enter. Now let's go ahead and grab our password and then enter. And now we are done. It has been pushed to master. So right now if we go to our repository and check it, we should see all the files right here pushed to our code commit. So any changes we make here should automatically trigger a CI/CD pipeline. So the next thing we're going to do is to go to CodeBuild. We're going to go ahead and go to CodeBuild and then build our project. So we're going to build two projects. One is going to use the build spec train.yaml file we have, and the other one is going to use a build spec deploy.yaml file we have. So just come over to CodeBuild, create project, and then our project, we're going to name this one train model. So we're going to be using the default, and our source is going to be AWS CodeCommit, and the repository is going to be our repo that we created already. And for the branch, it's going to be master, and under additional configuration git clone is going to be one depth. That's fine. And under environment, we're going to leave everything as is right here. And operating system, we're going to be using Ubuntu standard, and we're going to be using the standard 7.0 right here, and we're going to be using the latest runtime here. And for service role, we have our service role already created, so we're going to use our existing service role. And for the role, we're going to use our CodeBuild train for this one. Since it's going to be the train job right here, we're going to use our role for the training. And for the build spec, we're going to be using a build spec file, and it's going to be a build spec train.yaml. And we're going to just leave everything else as default. Of course, CloudWatch logs. And then we're going to create our build project. There it is, it's created already. So we're going to go back to build projects. It's right there for our train. We're going to create another one again. This one is going to be for our deploy model. So same thing, default. Our source is going to be AWS CodeCommit, and the repo is going to be the same repo we use here. Same thing, we're going to pick branch master. Same configuration here. We're going to use Ubuntu here, standard 7.0 latest. I'm going to pick our existing role, and this role we're going to pick the deploy role here. Same thing here. We're going to pick our deploy.yaml code, and everything is going to be basically the same thing, of course, here. Then create projects. So these are our projects right here, deploy and train. And next thing we're going to do is to create our code pipeline. So go over to CodePipeline, create pipeline. So we're going to be building a custom pipeline. And then next, the name of our pipeline is going to be queued. And for our role, we have an existing role again. So we're going to pick our role we created for pipeline here. And then next, for the source provider, we're going to pick CodeCommit. And the repository name is going to be repo. And the branch name is going to be the master, of course. And then leave the rest as default. Then next is our CodeBuild stage. We're going to be using other providers, and it's going to be CodeBuild. And the project's name, we're going to use our train model. And then next, for the test stage, we're going to skip this. And then next, so for the deploy stage here, we're going to go ahead and skip this stage. And then we're going to be creating it manually with our approval stage. So here, as you can see, there's no manual approval stage, and we need this approval stage between the build and the deploy, but there's no manual stage here. So we're going to create them manually, and we're also going to create the deploy stage manually. So go ahead and skip this. Also skip the deploy stage, and then just review and then create pipeline. Okay, there you have it. The pipeline has been created. Now here, go ahead and click edit. We have our commit stage here. We have our build stage. We're going to add another stage, and we're going to add another stage here. And the name of this stage is going to be called approval, and then add stage. So here we have the approval stage. We're going to add another stage again. This stage, we're going to call it the deploy, and then add. So for the approval stage, we're going to go ahead and add action, and the action name is going to be manual approval, and the action provider is going to be manual approval. Leave everything else as default, and then done. We have a space in between, so let's just clear the space. Manual approval, done. And then for the deploy stage, we're going to go ahead and add action, and the action name is going to be deploy model, and the action provider is going to be CodeBuild, and the input artifact is going to be a build artifact, and the project name is going to be deploy model, and then that it is. And click done, and then go ahead and save. Now there's something we need to do. We need to go back to our projects. I forgot to add environment variables in there, so we're going to go back to our projects, and let's start with this, the model deploy model project. We're going to edit, and then come down here where it says additional configuration. We have our environment variables, so we're going to add the environment variables. The first thing we're going to add is the SageMaker role. So the name is going to be SageMaker role, and we're going to go to our IAM, go to roles, get our SageMaker role here, and then copy the ARN, and then paste it here, and then add another, and this is going to be our region, depending on which region you're working from. I'm working from US East 1. I'm going to go ahead and update projects. We're going to repeat the same thing for our other project, the train. That's why it's failing right now, so we're going to go ahead and edit, and then right here we're going to add our environment variable, paste it, and then go ahead and update our projects, and that is it. Now let's go back to our pipeline, and then here we're going to release change and let the pipeline run. It's going to go through the whole process, and then it's going to run. So this should stop here for approval if it passes, and then when we approve, we should go ahead and deploy. But once we approve it manually, the next thing we're going to do is to replace this manual approval with a Lambda function that will automatically approve it, and this is what the MLOps cycle is all about: automation instead of manual. Manual approval is good for compliance, and checks and balances. But for MLOps to work properly, we'll remove the manual approval and then add an automated approval where Lambda is going to be added, invoked by Event Bridge, and then it's going to automatically check for compliance and then auto approve. So we had an error with our code build, and let's see what's going on here. Let's scroll down to the logs and see what's going on. Error while executing command Python create. And let's see, let's just go ahead above and see what's going on. We're missing this S3 create bucket permission. So this role, CloudGuard train role is missing the S3 create bucket permission. So let's just go ahead and go to S3, and here we can even see the summary of what's going on here. Let's go to identity and access management and fix this. So go to IAM here, go to roles, locate our CloudGuard train right here. Okay, let me see. Let's check our inline policy. So we have our S3 here, but we don't have everything. We have get bucket put subject. We need to add some more. We're just gonna add create buckets. We're also gonna add get bucket location. So we have get bucket, put bucket, create bucket, get bucket location, list bucket. Yeah, that's it. And then next, and save changes. So now that I've fixed the IAM issue, let's go ahead and release changes and see if that fixes the issue. So as you can see here, our build has succeeded. It's waiting for a manual approval. Here it's waiting for a human to click approve, and then it's gonna deploy it. So right now let's go ahead and click approve. We're gonna replace this with an automated process later, but let's just click here and then here approve, enter your comment here, and then submit. So when I submit, it's gonna trigger. So right now I've approved it. It's gonna trigger the deploy project to go ahead and deploy. So now it's gonna deploy to our endpoint. Now we can replace this manual approval with an automated approval by including Lambda in this. So Lambda automatically approves it and deploys to our endpoint. So right here our deploy project failed. Let's go ahead and troubleshoot what's going on. Oh, it's not seeing our code build spec.yaml. So that's because our artifacts, so we need to change our artifacts to change the primary artifacts to be the source artifact, and then the secondary artifact is going to be our build artifact. So what we're going to do is go back to the pipeline, click on the pipeline, edit, go to our deploy here, go to our deploy, edit stage, click on edit, our source artifact here, we're going to add the source artifact to the primary source is going to be our source artifact here. Go ahead, click on done, and then save. And now let's go ahead and release change and let it run. So right now let's go ahead and manually approve it again, and then let it run again. So there you have it. Our code pipeline is complete. It's deployed. So right now if we go to SageMaker, we should see our endpoint deployed. Right here we see our endpoint being created in SageMaker, and that's it. We have just manually triggered our pipeline. But let's make a commit. Let's commit something into our CodeCommit and see if it's gonna initiate another pipeline again. Meanwhile, while that is initiating, we're gonna set up an automatic approval with Lambda. But right now I'm gonna commit something else again, and we'll watch the whole pipeline go again. So let's hop onto Cloud Shell here. I'm just gonna clear. Okay, now let's go ahead and test our pipeline. With this, we're gonna be invoking our pipeline if it's gonna run manually. So right now, if we go back to our pipeline, it should have been invoked. So if we release change, it's gonna start again right there. So the build is going on, then it's gonna come to approval, and then it's gonna deploy. But let's go ahead and set up our Lambda function, that way we can automatically approve this endpoint. I'm going to create a function. We're going to be using Python runtime. I'm going to use the latest Python. We're going to use our existing rule we created already, which is a Lambda auto approve, and then create function. And for the code, I'm going to get our Lambda code here, go ahead and paste it, and then deploy. And then we are also going to create an event bridge rule. Create a rule. Now rule name is going to be called, and then next. Our event pattern is going to be JSON, and we're going to just paste our, let's go ahead and prettify it, and then next. Our target is going to be a Lambda function, and it's going to be this one we created right here. And then next, everything is okay. Go ahead and create rule. And then if we come back to our pipeline, it's waiting for our manual approval. Let's go ahead and submit, and then it's going to trigger the deploy. So it should go ahead and then deploy. And here you go, it's been deployed, everything has gone through. So if we go back to our SageMaker endpoint, we should see another endpoint here deployed right there. So now we're going to automate everything. We created our Lambda function already, and then we set up our event bridge rule. So now we're going to go back to our pipeline. We're going to take away this, and we're going to add another automated approval process here. So let's go ahead and edit the pipeline, and for the approval stage, we're going to edit, and we're going to delete this approval stage. Let's go ahead and delete. And now we're going to add another stage here, and we're going to call this auto approve. Add stage. Between build and deploy, we have the auto approval, so we're going to add action. Add action name, auto approval, and then action provider is going to be our Lambda function, and then the function name is going to be our Lambda function right here. Done, and then save. Let's go back to our auto approve, edit this stage. We're missing the input artifact. So far, input artifact is going to be the build artifact, and then let's go ahead and say done, and then save. There you go, we've saved this. So now we're going to trigger the pipeline again. So let's go ahead and come back to our Cloud Shell. Let's rerun the same code again. Right now it should trigger automatically right there. And let's release change, that way it triggers properly. So with this auto approval now, we shouldn't need any manual approval in there. It should automatically check our pipeline and make sure everything is good. Check our endpoints, our code in S3, make sure everything is good, then it deploys automatically without any manual intervention. And this is what MLOps is all about: automation, automation, automation. Our auto approval failed. I checked the logs, and we don't have our role here, doesn't have the permission for CloudWatch logs. So I went ahead and added it and triggered the pipeline again, and now it's going. It should be able to complete the whole process now. So let's go ahead and watch and see what's going to happen. Now it's checking our auto approval. Auto approval has gone through. So without any manual intervention, it's auto approved, and now it's going to automatically deploy. So when we go to our SageMaker endpoint, we should see another endpoint deployed for us. So there it's deploying, and there you have it, auto approval, and it's deployed to our endpoint. If we go to our SageMaker endpoint right now, if we check our endpoint, we should see 3. This one just deployed. This one failed earlier, but here you go, it's deployed now. and we can check our metrics. We can check our dashboard. We have 3 endpoints here, and if we don't find any, if there's anything we don't like, we can go ahead and do deploy. So what happens is when we push any code to our code repository, we make any changes to our code repository, like from here, it's gonna trigger the pipeline, and then from the source, from the code commit, any changes we make, it's gonna start the build process, auto approve, and then deploy to our endpoint. So there you have it, a complete automated CI/CD pipeline for your machine learning models on AWS. We've covered a lot of ground today. We've had some failed deployments, and we checked the error logs and troubleshoot and then fixed it. And this project is a fantastic blueprint that you can use to build your own MLOps workflow. You can customize the training logic if you want. You can make the approval criteria in the Lambda function as complex as you want it. And you can also extend the deployment stage to handle things like maybe A/B testing or canary deployments, or whatever you want. You can make changes here if you want. So this is the complete MLOps pipeline. So let's go ahead and clean up. Go to pipelines. Let's delete our pipeline. No, delete the pipeline. Delete. Let's go to our projects. Go ahead and delete the projects. Event preview. Let's put row. And delete. Go to our Lambda function. Go to our S3 records and to these records. Go to our SageMaker functions and delete. Cloud watch log. Let's check our logs. I have a bunch of logs. Go ahead and delete them. So let's go to our repository. Delete our repository. Our roles. Let's go ahead and delete our roles. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go ahead and delete those. And that's all for the clear. And there you have it. That's the end of our pipeline. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe for more content like this, and let me know in the comment of what you would like me to build next time. All the code and documentation for this project are linked in the description below. My name is Mo. I'll see you in the next project.